Like a really crazy thought I had a while back was the idea that, when you meet someone, very rarely does it go like the entire way. Like when you become friends with someone, it follows this kind of predictable curve where you get to know them and then you're close for a little bit, and then at some point it reaches its peak and it falls off, and you kind of have this like quiet friendship, for the rest of your life. Very rarely is it like, well, actually, I think it's impossible. I don't think it's ever as intense as it was when it started, and all of these like relationships follow a very similar trend. I think like romantic relationships are very defined in this way, in that you're either getting closer or you're just not dating at all. You either get married or it's just, that's it. People don't really stay friends with their exes, and I don't know, like just this lens of like understanding that, like when I meet people, understanding that most likely this is a temporary relationship, and that it's going to end, and that it's going to follow this predictable pattern that all of my other friendships have. It's really kind of crazy to think about, if I'm being really honest. It's free in a certain way, saddening in a certain way, depending how you want to see it. But I feel like a lot of people don't have this realization in the same way that I do. They don't see that when you meet people that it's most likely going to end. They kind of just take things as is, and I think people should be more grateful for the fact that we have connection in the first place, and also be more specific in what they want from people, because once you realize that these things follow these predictable cycles, there's no novelty in observing the cycle. If you're not aware of the cycle itself, it seems like the cycle itself is all powerful, but it's not. It's never like that. The cycle itself it's just there, and we are there to observe the cycle. And I think it's very dangerous when people aren't careful with the cycle, because it makes them fall into this like pattern of like the same thing over and over again. Whereas if you are observant of the cycle, everything is new, because once you are aware of the cycle, the intensity and the fulfillment of the friendship is isolated from the cycle. It's when you go in knowing this friendship is going to end, it kind of, well, it's not going to end, but it's going to follow this like trend of like growth to peak to decline to this like mature state, similar to like companies, to be honest. Then you're just very cognizant of like what you want out of this like specific moment in time that you are sharing together. And I feel like this realization has been more and more potent recently, because I don't just like hang out with people for the sake of hanging out with them anymore. It's not as fulfilling as it was before, because I'm aware of like what this is. So everything has to have like a lot deeper value than just the cycle itself for it to be meaningful to me. And most of the time, because friendships follow this cycle, like you're on your own for the most part. You walk your own path, and that's like most of your life, and for a time you share it with other people, but it's never like a permanent endeavor. And I I feel like people shouldn't view it as such. Wow, I was just looking outside and look at the birds. It's like they're like flying right now, and that's like so gorgeous. Oh my god. Wow. Like, I've always been really comfortable alone in a way that I feel like a lot of people aren't. And I think it's just because I have this awareness that like friendships follow cycles, you know, and you shouldn't rely on other people to make you feel happy, because friends have a beginning and an end. Most relationships have a beginning and an end. And I don't think when your happiness depends on giving like some sort of like happiness from other people, then it means that other people can make you unhappy. And part of the rationale behind like the Invincible Summer and stuff like that is that you don't want your happiness to be dependent on external factors. You don't want them to be dependent on sentient beings like other people. You don't want them to be dependent on like inanimate concepts like, you know, inequality or like conspicuous consumption or something like that. Like, you want it to be something that's like deeply rooted inside. And as a result, you shouldn't let, you know, the desire to be close with other people make you feel happy or sad, because these are things that can be easily taken away, you know? Like, we're walking our own paths, and occasionally other people come in and make us feel like euphoric for a bit, but euphoria, almost by its own definition, is like a very temporary emotion, and you shouldn't like believe it's going to last forever. You know, it's nice when it does. You only get like a couple euphoria punch cards in your life. You know, it's that like Warren Buffett like concept of like investment punch cards, where you have like 10 punch cards where you can only invest in 10 companies throughout your life. Like, it's similar with like euphoria, right? Like, you only have like, I don't know, that's like 5-10 people in which that make you feel euphoria at a very given moment in time, and then that's it, you know. I feel like I felt euphoria like 3 times. I don't know. I think people should just be more aware that everyone is walking their own path, you know, and the only person that's going to be with you your entire path is yourself. And then other people can like join for a bit, but then they follow these like friendship cycles. But at the end of the day, you begin your path by yourself, you end your path by yourself. People come in and out like chapters. Your parents are there for most of it, but even they leave. And you want something that gives you fulfillment to be only yourself, because the only thing that remains with you your entire life is yourself.